Hello, good morning. My name is Natoya Peart, and I'm a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Pennsylvania. I've always had an interest in science. It's not a particular moment per se. My parents encouraged my academic pursuits, and as I did well in school, my teachers supported me, and that sort of helped motivate me to continue along. But to actually consider a career in academic research, it wasn't until undergrad when I had my first undergraduate research experience that sort of helped cement the idea that this is something that I could consider doing for my future. Because before it wasn't something I'd actually explored or thought of or saw myself actually pursuing. The summer of my sophomore year, I wanted to get research experience to prepare for med school, if you will. And that actually was my first experience working with a Black female scientist. So that was actually really inspiring. And she was also from a small Caribbean island like myself. So that was doubly inspiring because it was just like, oh, someone like me. And so I was just like, oh, she can do it, and this is a viable career path. And then after that, I continued doing research in undergrad in my junior year as well as in my senior year. And then I applied to graduate schools after. The overall theme of my research is to answer the question of how does RNA processing help to determine cell fate? And so I've always sort of been fascinated as well as daunted by the field of RNA biology because it's so vast and so big. But actually, as I got involved in it during my undergraduate research, I realized I actually really like this. And so one of the questions that I'm trying to ask, and one of the things that the scientific community has come to appreciate more, is that RNA isn't just acting as a messenger or as a vehicle, it's actually highly functional. The messenger is pretty important. And so how does modifying this messenger, how does changing this messenger affect cell fate? And that's one of the questions that I'm trying to ask in my research. So I did have a plan of sorts, but like any good plan, you should always plan for detours. Actually, you can't really plan for detours. They just decide to happen. And so along the way, I've had setbacks health-wise, in terms of my own personal health, health of family members. I've dealt with loss, even professional setbacks. Like in graduate school, my PI moved, or in my postdoc, my previous PI retired from academia. So those were things that I had to overcome, but it was a matter of pushing through, but it wasn't on my own or by myself. One of the things I can say that I had was a really good support network, and that was really critical for me to actually get this far. So support from my family, my husband's been really supportive, from my parents at home, my uncles and aunts here in the US. Supportive mentors have been really helpful, like my current mentor as well as my graduate mentor have been really, really helpful throughout this whole process. And just friends, as well as your own support network within the institution that you're a part of, whether it's your graduate cohort or a group of like-minded postdocs, they're really helpful to actually get through when you face sciences can be isolating, but it doesn't have to be lonely. Well, I'm excited to say that I'll be starting my own lab in April of 2023. I went on the job market last year, and thankfully it was successful, and I will be starting my own lab at the University of Waterloo as assistant professor of biology. So Waterloo is in Ontario, Canada. When we do officially launch, we'll be looking for graduate students. And so anyone who's interested in RNA biology, as well as how RNA processing affects cell fate, reach out to me. That's what I'm interested in pursuing. So there are many things I love about being a scientist, but speaking particularly from the academic environment, I would have to say that I love the breadth of questions that are being asked, or the breadth of questions that are asked, or how you can ask them. And so I was attracted to the idea of academic research because you can, in theory, ask anything. And I say in theory because that's saying that you can ask anything is a lot more nuanced than actually the statement suggests. But there is still a lot of freedom in academic research, and that's one of the reasons why I really like it. And I would say, as advice to aspiring scientists, it would be, it's not easy. It's going to be, things will definitely not go according to plan, but that in of itself is part of the journey. And it's one of the things I am still trying to take as advice for myself. It's about the journey, not necessarily the destination. And so as we're going along this journey, these experiences are helping us grow. And we're not just growing as people, we're also growing as scientists. And we need to think about new ways to explore different questions. And along the journey, we're going to encounter different things that's going to affect how we ask the question and what type of questions we're interested in asking. But we shouldn't be afraid of the fact that things are going to happen and it's going to change how we perceive different things and how we ask different questions. And so in summary, the too long or the snippet is that don't be afraid to ask questions and don't be afraid of the journey that you're going to be going on.